At 5, a kid rescued from a drainage pipe on Jones Creek Road and an accident at Exxon.
Also coming up, learn the Baton Rouge teenagers. They were sucked into a drainage canal along the Jones Creek Road.
Marvin McGraw was standing by during the rescue this evening, and he joins us now from the scene. Marvin?
Quite simply an incredible story here this afternoon. Two 13-year-old boys were playing on the banks of this canal. When it began to rain, though, the kids made the mistake of crawling inside this drainage pipe. In a matter of minutes, it filled with water, sweeping the kids inside. One of the kids was carried by the water through the entire quarter-mile length of the pipe and came out the other end safely. He was able to crawl out. The second grabbed onto a fitting inside the pipe where, terrified, he held on against the rising water. Now, minutes after all this happened, at around 3 o'clock, rescue teams from the St. George and Eastside fire departments arrived on the scene. And using their rescue gear, they went into the drainage pipe. After nearly an hour's worth of work, working from two ends, they were able to pull 13-year-old Joe Stewart into the waiting arms of friends and family. What was going through your mind when you were holding on to the pipe?
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is within.
You were praying while you were holding on to the pipe?
I'm glad I'm alive. The current just rose a little bit, and we were like, oh, well, it's, you know, and then it just rose up to knee high, and we started walking out, and it just took us, and we just started floating down. He grabbed onto a pipe.
Now, without question, the firemen are the heroes here today. They say Joe Stewart and 13-year-old Matt Wilkes are lucky to be alive tonight. Both kids were treated here at the scene by paramedics and later released to their parents. Back to the set.
All right. Baton Rouge storm produces a tornado warning.
What? Miss football.
Details next from Louisiana's News Channel.
Newscast watched by more people than any other.
He's a child molester
And I'm George Sells. What two teenagers thought was a playground turned out to be a danger zone this afternoon in the Jones Creek area. The two teenagers were playing in a canal on the edge of the Hickory Ridge subdivision when heavy rains caused strong currents which pulled them both into a drainage culvert. And as WAFB's Lisa Robertson reports, it was a dramatic rescue.
Some tense moments for rescue workers in East Baton Rouge Parish trying to rescue 13-year-old Joey Stewart, who was sucked into a culvert. It happened in this open field in the Hickory Ridge subdivision behind Sunburst Bank. Joe and his friend Matt Wilkes were playing there when it started raining, and the force of the water pulled both of them under. Matt got out, but Joey was trapped.
How are you?
Minutes later, Joe emerged safe and apparently unharmed.
I knew he was going to make it, but I was just happy he was out.
Joe was carried to an ambulance where minutes later his father arrives.
They had just got him out, so that was a relief.
How did it look down there?
Scared. Really was.
What are you going to do next?
No, St. George. He was visiting.
Get some rest.
Officials say this is one young man lucky to be alive. Lisa Robertson, WAFB News.
Children playing in drainage canals is pretty common, especially during the summer. Last year, two brothers died while playing near Wards Creek when one boy fell in and the other tried to save him. WAFB's Isaiah Carey is live at the site where today's incident occurred with some information on how you can prevent this from happening to your child.
Absolutely, George. It happens all the time, as one EMS official told us. We're right behind Oak Ridge subdivision, Hickory Ridge subdivision, rather, where it happened today. And you can see in the area where the kids went down, where you see some people standing up there, they went down there, traveled all the way underground, which is about 200 yards from here. And one of the kids came up right here in this hole. This is where the rescue effort took place. Now, another kid ended up about 100 yards over at Woodlawn High School. They traveled a long way underground, and it was a frightening scene under there for one kid, as he explained it to me. Right now, we're with Matt Giat from EMS. And Matt, how often does this happen, and what should parents do to prevent this?
We're seeing more and more instances of it happening during the summer times especially. The basic way to inform the kids is education, of course, telling them not to go into the culverts. The water is swift. You can't see the terrain that's underneath the water. The currents can carry you a long way, even though it may look calm enough to walk through. Also, if you live near a canal area, you might want to inspect the yard in the back to make sure there's no sinkholes in the yard. or make sure that there's no openings to the culverts that the kids can get to. You might want to put a barricade in front of it. And if you do find anything, you want to contact the city's Department of Public Works and let them know about it to fix the problem.
All right, thanks a lot, Matt. Now, if we can get a shot of that hole, you'll see where it was open for more than 7 months, according to one DPW worker. And here's where the board that was supposed to be covering the hole is. Now, that DPW worker who's just on the scene with some barricades apparently didn't leave any. This is the only thing protecting it, a crime scene line. Now, he says the Department of Public Works will be out here tomorrow morning to try and prevent this and to cover this holdup. I'm Isaiah Carey reporting live on the scene.
Okay, thanks very much, Isaiah. And in addition to what Chad Guillotte from EMS says, another problem for rescue authorities is the fact that a lot of these underground lines, one of which these two youngsters were trapped in this afternoon, are uncharted. They don't know exactly where to look. Luckily, both boys were rescued this afternoon.
You may remember
Carey has the latest.
13-year-old Matt Wilkes and Joe Stewart was playing in the canal behind Hickory Ridge subdivision this afternoon. Heavy rains began falling, and so did the boys. They were swept with the current for several hundred yards under the ground, with Matt ending up near Woodlawn High School and Joe being trapped in this culvert.
The culvert, which has a fork in it, it splits two ways. One child was shut out to the right, popped out the other end, was fine. The other kid went to the left side of the culvert and was caught up on some reinforcing wire.
It took rescue workers just under a half an hour to save Joe, who desperately clung to life on a metal bar as pressure from the swift currents fought against him.
I was just thinking, just hold on. Don't let go. I thought my friend was dead. I thought he was going to be down there for a long. I knew he was going to make it, but I was just happy he was out.
How often do you see something like this, kids playing in culverts around the city?
We've had several calls to where kids were in the open drainage canals and got swept away in the water. We've had some drownings recently. There is an existence of it now, but I'm not sure if it's a major concern of the city at this time.
After a day of trauma and staring head-on with death, one of the boys came back to the site where he left his bike and said he was going to baseball practice. Isaiah Carey, WAFB News.
the Department of Public Works is reportedly sending a crew out tomorrow morning to barricade that open culvert and survey the land for any other problems.
The Baton Rouge verdict.
We're playing at the entrance of this canal in the Hickory Ridge subdivision near Jones Creek Road when it started to rain. Heavy currents took both boys downstream, and Joe got stuck in a manhole holding onto a pipe. His friend Matt traveled at least a quarter of a mile downstream before he found a way out. He went to a local bank and called for help.
If he wouldn't have been there, I might have just, died, but the water was going down, and it was more of a strain because the water wasn't keeping my body weight up.
Joe was eventually rescued by a team from the St. George's Fire Department. WAP's Lisa Robertson will have more on the teen's adventure tonight at 6 o'clock.
Conquering anger is the first step in combating crime.
Sudden Mother Nature struck and things got out of control. WAP's Lisa Robertson takes us through their adventure and tells us today how it has changed their lives.
We started building like putting a bunch of rocks over there leading to those rocks down there.
They were playing at that entrance of the canal, and they ended up getting caught in the current.
It was scary.
Matt Wilkes and his friend Joe Stewart were playing in this entrance of a canal in the Hickory Ridge subdivision off Jones Creek Road when it started raining. As the canal began to fill with water, the boys tried to get out, but it was too late.
I was thinking that Joe was gonna die and that I was gonna die, and I didn't know what I was gonna do.
When I saw Matt just leave into the darkness, and I was like, no one knows I'm here. He could be hurt or dead or injured or whatever.
Strong currents took the boys downstream and they were separated. Joe caught hold of a pipe and hung on, but Matthew kept going. Matt traveled almost a quarter of a mile downstream before he found a way out. Ironically, he scoped out the area just 2 weeks before and knew which way to go. Matthew went to a nearby bank and got help. Joe held on for nearly an hour before EMS crews and members of the St. George's Fire Department rescued him.
If he wouldn't have been there, I might have just, died. But
this is an experience both boys say they never want to relive. Lisa Robertson, WAFB News.
Who's the hero in this story? Matt, the teen who ran for help, says he doesn't feel like a hero at all. He says it was a team effort between himself, Joe, and the rescue unit from St. George's Fire Department that turned that near tragedy into a success.
If you're a GSU customer, your next bill will be around $15 smaller than it would ordinarily be. That's because the Public Service